Hi everyone. I'd like to take a moment to talk about my experience with video games. So, you could say that I was born with video games. I started playing video games at a very young age. So it started with the original Nintendo. I am not sure if I had the console or if it was rented though. I didn't have many games, if at all. But I remember I was playing some games at a friend's house. So it's really when I received a Super Nintendo that I started playing a lot of video games. Okay, here I had a lot of games for this console, and I also rented a lot. So it was it was really fun. Like for a lot of people, it was like a new moment. Okay, if you experienced it, what it was at the time, it was really special. I also played with my cousin. Yeah, he also had the console, and we played together sometimes. But what happened next is that since I was young, I was still a young child. My parents bought me a lot of things at the time. But then I started to become a little older. They stopped buying me a lot of games. They still, for a certain amount of consoles, they bought me the console, but they bought me very few games, a couple maximum. So I had almost no games for a couple consoles after the Super Nintendo, but at least they gave me money to rent a lot of games. So it wasn't too much of a big deal. But sometimes it happened that I really wanted to buy some games, like some games that I wanted for years. But I never got them, unfortunately. I remember renting some games 2 or 3 times because of that. Anyway, that's just the way it is. Especially with the Nintendo 64. But at least we played at a friend's house with multiple controllers. Some of those very fun games on 64 at the time. So it's not a big deal because you got to play with your friends. You're going to play with your friends anyway, so you can just go to their house. And I guess that wasn't too much of a big deal. So after that, this was in my childhood. So when I became a teenager, around that, when I started high school, this is when I started playing online games for the first time on PC with Diablo 2 and Counter-Strike. It was absolutely incredible experience. Definitely 2 of my most important games of all time. I will never forget that. Also, I didn't have like the best PC at the time, and the internet wasn't too good too, so it was lagging. But even when it was lagging, especially in CS, I didn't care. Like it was like a revolution. So it's just incredible to play that even while lagging. Sometimes I was lagging and I got a kill. I felt so good, like what some of your first kills online, like truly absolutely unforgettable experience. Then what happened is that I had less money to buy games, okay? But with the PS2 and the Xbox after that, I wanted to buy a lot more games. So I had to sell stuff, but also a lot of my video games that I didn't really play anymore. There's a lot of games that I didn't play too much. So what I did is that I started selling my games to be able to buy new ones. because at the time I didn't sell many. But then I started that, and it was very useful. It truly allowed me to buy a lot of games. I definitely had a lot for those two consoles. Then a major moment arrived is when I got Xbox Live. Okay, so I think that I bought it at the end of 2003, if I remember correctly. So I also bought the console at the time. I bought the PS2 first, then I bought the Xbox. So even if I had played online games on PC, there was something different on Xbox Live. And the most striking thing for me was that I was hearing a lot more people speaking with microphones. And I don't remember hearing many people, if at all, on PC at that time. So for me, it was really special. Because there was like a bundle or something that you could buy that came with the microphone with the Xbox Live. So because of that, a lot of people had it. And this made for a very different experience than on PC. And also on PC, even today, there's a lot of games that don't use officially the ability to speak with a microphone. Okay. At the time, it was even worse. That's what I'm saying. On CS, for example, I'm not even sure if I heard some people or a couple only, if at all. I'm just not sure. But it was a big difference. And for me, I just couldn't believe it. Okay, the original Xbox was definitely one of my favorite moments in my life on Xbox Live. So I played that for a couple years, but a certain amount of years. But what happened before I stopped playing the original Xbox is that I dropped out of high school. So, of course, when I dropped out, I started playing a lot more video games. And I was also speaking with people. I was talking with people on Xbox Live a lot, like almost every day. I was also playing some games on PC, so I was not just playing on console. I also love PC because even when I was younger, I tried some games on PC too. I remember messing in Windows 3.1 in some files and trying some games. Yeah, it's a long time ago, and but anyway, I love, like, even younger. I really love those technologies, and so I really like to mess with that, even if I didn't have a powerful PC. I love both, but I play more consoles. I play more on consoles, but anyway. So, okay. Then the next console, which ended up being my very last, the Xbox 360 came out. But a couple of months before I bought the 360, I bought what probably deserves to be considered my favorite game of all time, World of Warcraft. So this game had a monthly fee. It came out. It came with a free month, and then you had to pay a monthly fee. So I had never done that before, and I really, I wasn't comfortable with that. So I played that for 1 month. Then I bought 3 months, and it was an incredible experience, even if my PC was not too good. So the graphics were not that high, but it was incredible. Like definitely much better than expected. I was definitely not expecting something that good. But even if I absolutely loved the game, I just couldn't continue to pay for it. Like I said, I wasn't comfortable with that, so I stopped. And so I bought the 360. And yeah, at first there weren't too many games on it, but there's certain things that I appreciated, like it was possible to speak with private chats with your friends online while they were playing different games. This was the first time on that this ability was possible, and it was really appreciated. I absolutely loved it. There's other things that I love too. The community was much better, even better than the PC at the time. It was definitely great, though. Yeah, there was other problems with the 360, but I played that for a lot of years. I continued to speak, to talk online with some people every day. And also sometimes I played some games on PC, but I was mostly on the 360, especially at that time. Then I got an opportunity. What happened is that someone that I know online, a guy that I knew, gave me the right to use his World of Warcraft account while he was at school or when he was asleep. So I jumped on it. So I came back to World of Warcraft, and this is when it was pretty much around the first expansion. For those that played that, it was extremely memorable when it was played at that time. It was incredible, and I was instantly hooked, and I came back. It was incredible, really. And I continued to play a lot for a certain amount of months. It became pretty extreme. I played probably around 15 hours almost every single day. It was like my new life. I was living in that world. Some of you know what it's like. But anyway, it was like definitely one of my best experiences in my life. It was incredible, though. They didn't do anything productive, and even today it's pretty hard to do something productive. But so yeah. So I played, continued playing a little bit sometimes at 360 up to 2011. So this is when I almost never played at 360 anymore. I bought maybe just a couple games max. And but I continued for a certain amount of time to talk sometimes, not every day, but sometimes with some people on Xbox Live. And I was playing some games too on PC. But then I completely stopped playing Xbox 360. So it was the end of my experience with video game consoles. But I still played sometimes on PC. I was waiting for one of my most awaiting game of all time, at that time, Diablo 3, obviously. I was waiting for that, so I bought it. And I played that. At the time, my PC was not the best. So I played a certain amount of months with that. And then, even if I had the desire to greatly reduce my video games consumption because I was playing too much, something that seems contradictory happened. I bought my first gaming PC. Because even if I loved PC gaming, I actually never bought a gaming PC. I had never bought one for some reason. It's not super accessible, and for the price, it costs much more money in consoles. So I didn't want to build one, and I was not too confident that the price was good enough from the PCs that were sold in store. So what I did in my life is that I pretty much generally played around medium settings, sometimes lower. And when I got a new PC, a new non-gaming PC, I really liked it because I could play some of my older games close to high or maxed, and but it was never a gaming. So now I did, for the first time in my life, I had a gaming PC. I was able to play almost all games in history at maximum settings. So I started buying a lot of games on Steam, super cheap games. I had never experienced something like that, and even at the time it was even cheaper. Didn't play much of those games though, but I played some a lot. And anyway, it was fun. That's something that I always wanted to experience. Though again, I continued to waste my time, and even play some games that played years ago, and they didn't do anything productive. I was not doing much. And then after a certain amount of years, it started to become much more difficult for me. I started to develop mental disorders. So playing some games certain types of games started to become much harder for me. And in a way, this is something that helped me. But with light sensibility, it started to become hard to look at the screen while playing games too. So that's why I slowly reduced the number of hours that I play video games. But I actually still replaced that with more movies. So I was actually watching a lot more movies, and I'll talk about that in another video. But again, while I played a lot less video games for a certain amount of time, I was not doing anything productive either. So, and this is something to consider. Then I had some relapses. I came back and played one game for a certain amount of months pretty intensively, but then I stopped playing almost all games. And near the end of 2017, this is when I really felt that this was the beginning of the end. That I was soon going to be able to completely stop playing video games. So at that time, I was almost no longer playing games. And this is exactly what happened. The very last day of 2017 was the last time that I played a video game. I never touched a video game after that. So at the end of this year, it will be 3 years that I am completely free from video games. So that's good news. Sure, that's definitely progress. Because also, if you think about all the sleepless nights that I did at the time, and I was waking at any freaking hour, I was completely unable. Finally, thanks to that, I was able to wake up every morning around the same hour. So this was not just about stopping playing video games. This was much more than that. Okay, it helped me in other facets of my life, but unfortunately, even if I succeeded, today I still feel worse than how I felt when I was playing a lot of video games. Because I developed a lot of other health issues. And one of the things that I didn't think about is that at a time, I was talking a lot online with the microphone. I just didn't realize that this was something that was useful for the brain in terms of socialization, because since I didn't have any friends, and I still don't today, at least I was talking every day with people online, with some friends that I had online. It was very constant, and then I almost completely stopped doing that, and then completely stopped. So I've almost never talked to someone online for years. And you can really feel the difference. It's much lonelier, and I assume that some of the problems I have today may be linked to this lack of socialization. There's not at least something positive about that. Though I still love that I was able to finally break my video game addiction, I won't deny that there was something positive about it related to talking with people online. So I feel confident that I will never be addicted to video games again. But at the same time, I don't have the desire right now. I don't have it whatsoever. I really don't want to do that, but I guess that if I played like a single player game that is not too long to finish one day, it wouldn't be much of a big deal. Though it's really not something that I want to do. But who knows what will happen. So, yeah, this was to give you a a good idea of what I experienced with video game addiction. Thanks for watching, and see you in another video.